Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Sometimes stories come out of things that you don't think they're going to be big things about. Something small happens, ends up being a major political row. And that seems to be what's happening now with Murdo Fraser and the recording of a non-crime hate incident to which he has been linked. It's now starting to step up a gear. Is this going to be something that's going to run and run? Now, Humza Yousaf is in post a year today, and we will be doing a look at some of your comments about that later, so keep an eye out for it. But it's the anniversary of his year in power, and he's now embroiled in a major row with Murdo Fraser because he being Humza Yousaf, is defending what happened to Fraser. Fraser saying it breaches his human rights. And so you've got this strange case of Humza Yousaf going against the European Convention on Human Rights in order to defend the recording of a hate incident which never actually occurred in terms of what they're claiming it did. Because this quote hate incident was only Murdo Fraser criticising the SNP government. And if you get to the point where criticising government is a hate crime, you've just all of a sudden run out of opposition. Let's take a look. Now, before I get into this, I just want to point out something. You may hear barking and growling and things in the background today. I've got 4 dogs here. It's like Battersea Dogs Home. So if you do hear noises in the background, that's what it is. Anyway, Murdo Fraser row escalates as Humza Yousaf is accused of defending unlawful hate crime policy. And it is unlawful. It breaches the European Convention on Human Rights, and there's no getting around that. Now, this isn't his new hate crime that comes in next Monday. 4 days away, 5 days away as we speak. Good luck. This is the existing thing where they go around and record it as a non-crime hate incident. Why are they wasting police time with non-crimes when they won't even go out and investigate actual crimes? It's weird. Anyway, Police Scotland and the First Minister have been accused of defending a policy which the force has been urged to scrap due to it breaching human rights by Tory MSP. And of course, Tory MSP in this case being Murdo Fraser. Murdo Fraser's row with political Scotland over hate crime has escalated after he accused both Humza Yousaf and the force of defending the unlawful policy. We previously told how the senior Scottish MSP is threatening legal action against the cops after one of his social media posts was labelled a non-crime hate incident. Now, this is the one where he criticised the government. Now, this is very insidious. It's very frightening that you're going to get to a state where the party in power, the SNP, will not brook any criticism of anything it does. And to criticise becomes a crime. This was last tried, well, it's currently tried in North Korea, but it was last tried in the Soviet Union. Must not criticise the power. The East Germans, the Stasi, would go around, they'd arrest you and all your family. How dare you criticise the government? Are we living in a tin pot dictatorship? Well, yes we are. But that's not surprising when you see who's in charge. Someone who's still holds a passport of a tin pot dictatorship. It's led to accusations that the force is attempting to police free speech. Now, the Police Scotland is slowly turning into the Stasi, isn't it? It's the Gestapo. The thought police. You will not criticise. You will not think outside of what we tell you to think. Big Brother is actually watching you. You will be punished for daring to even think about rebellion. It's fears that thousands of Scots may be unwittingly on a database of non-crime hate incidents. The politician was not informed until Holyrood's Ethical Standards Commissioner told him about it. So he's on this database, this hidden, secret database. He wasn't told. GDPR, he's entitled to. So what I would suggest now is each and every Scot, because this only really applies to the Scots because of Scottish law, each and every single Scot goes and applies to the police, demanding under GDPR, excuse me, to know whether they are on this non-crime hate incident blacklist. They've got to, by law, tell you if you are, and if you are, ask for it to be removed, and asked for a senior officer to interview you regarding the reasons. These are all not just things you can ask for. These are your legal rights. Because it does breach European Convention on Human Rights. The police are undoubtedly breaking the law. The complaint stemmed from a tweet where he criticised the Scottish Government for spending taxpayers' cash on non-binary action plan. He said, choosing to identify as non-binary is as valid as choosing to identify as a cat. He says, I'm not sure governments should be spending time on action plans for either. That was the criticism of the SNP government using public money to spend on self-identification things. A genuine, legal consideration, a concern. Nothing wrong in what he's asking. That was deemed to be a hate crime. Isn't that a dangerous precedent? Criticism of the government. Hate crime. This led to an activist reporting the post to the police, who decided it did not cross the criminal threshold as a hate crime. And at that point, that should have been the end of it. But no. It was still recorded by them as a non-crime hate incident. Mr. Fraser is demanding that this record is wiped. He has taken legal advice on this from the Free Speech Union. He's now ratcheting up the pressure on the police as he's pointed to documents which show that Police Scotland was looking at upping the threshold for when an NCI-HI is recorded due to a court ruling in England which stated that it breaches human rights. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't matter where this court breach occurred. Now, it happened to happen under an English court. However, the European Convention on Human Rights sits above both English and Scottish law. And so therefore, if an English court has said that it breaches the European Convention on Human Rights, it must, by definition, also breach the human rights in Scotland, because that law is a superior law. So therefore, Police Scotland are in breach of the law. That's not a question. That is a statement of fact. There is no opinion on this. They are in breach of the law. And so he and every single other person on that list needs to be wiped from that list. That list needs to be eradicated. Scottish Police confirmed it was looking at updating its policy, but had yet to do so. That means that currently everything that they do regarding hate is in breach of the European Convention, and therefore there is no hate crime law. And the hate crime law coming in on Monday is therefore unlawful, because it too breaches the European Convention on Human Rights. This is why the very first time anything like this goes to court, it will instantly be struck down. It will be lost. It will just disappear. Because you cannot have the fruit of the poisoned tree. Anything that comes from an unlawful act must therefore in itself be unlawful. It cannot be prosecutable. It said the College of Policing recommended that officers no longer relied on the perception of whether it is a hate crime, but judge it on other things as well. And what this actually means is that going forward, as I say, it's not just the existing hate crime legislation where you get recorded. It's going forward. Again, European Convention on Human Rights. Wonderful document. And that's before you even get down to the Equality Act, which is enshrined in law. And also it's UK-wide law, not just English and Welsh law, but it's also sits as a superior law to Scottish law. It's like there's nothing they can do about it, and they know it. And so you're protected both by the ECHR and the Equality Act 2010. And under that section, you go for, philosophical belief, and you're protected. And so there's so many things that are protection. That's not the point. That's not the point. You cannot be prosecuted for a hate crime in Scotland. But the very fact that it exists, and the very fact that the police are, by law, obliged to investigate, is what we must make clear. So every one of you who happens to live in Scotland, go and ask your police station. Ask if you are on the non-crime hate incident list, and then ask to speak to a senior officer if they confirm you are. You can use the GDPR legislation. That's a European-wide thing. We haven't repealed it. It's still there. It's still active. And they can't refuse you. They must, by law, tell you. Go and do it. Then speak to a senior officer. Get your name removed. Simple as that. Now, Murdo is taking this to court. He's going to go all the way up. The police themselves admitted that they've got to change it. They just haven't done yet. And so, therefore, the law is on your side. Go annoy the police. It's worth it in the long run. Thanks very much. I'm going to round off here. We'll come up and we'll finish this video. If nothing else, it merely highlights the stupidity, ignorance, and not much elseness of Humza Yousaf. He really hasn't got a clue. And we all know that this was not brought in, this law was not brought in, the new hate law was not brought in to protect people from a bit of abuse for being gay, or from being transsexual, or from being Protestant in a Celtic match kind of thing. It was brought in for one reason, and one reason only. It's a backdoor to anti-Islamic blasphemy. Screw you all. I have my beliefs. I do not care. I care not for Islam. I think Islam is a cult, and there's nothing they can do about it. And you know why I can say that? Because I'm protected. I'm protected under the European Convention of Human Rights and the 2010 Equality Act. And the great thing is, you can use both of them and walk free of court. There is nothing they can do. And here's what's even greater. If you were convicted of a crime and the Procurator Fiscal in Scotland said, this is a hate crime, so we're going to say that you would say, let's just say you stole something, right? So we're bringing you in for theft, and we're going to aggravate it with it being a hate crime. All you have to do then is show that it wasn't a hate crime, and then you walk free. There's no theft because they're saying it's theft under a hate crime. Having lost the hate crime element, you can't be done for theft. They can only charge you once for one crime. They can't charge you twice for the same crime. So they have to choose, do they go after you for theft, or do they go after you for theft and hate? Then all you do is defeat them on the hate element and you walk free. This is the stupidity of the law. It means criminals will walk free because these people will be so busy pushing for the hate element that they'll forget about the actual crime you committed. Criminals will walk free. It's mental. These people are so mental. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.